to crush it. And it's not going to be like last year, where last year, ending second, we felt kind of, in a sense, lucky that other teams were as bad. Even though we were bad, we could come to second. I think this year, we don't really care where enemy teams are at. I think we're in a pretty good state, and we're ramping up still. So I think all of my teammates and myself included, we're pretty feeling confident, and we just have to keep momentum, and I think we can crush every team.
Does that look like the face of Alaya? Doesn't to me. They are crushing right now in this series. A clean 2-0, making it look like a short day perhaps here for us. Welcome back, Jatt, by the way.
I mean, Nate, we've seen reverse sweeps between these two teams before, but 100 Thieves definitely feels like they have a lot of momentum. They won both Summer Split matchups. They've won both of these games. They've won the last 2 best-of-5s between Team Liquid. They're really putting on a stretch of dominance. Add that to the fact that in Game 1, they won with the early game comp. In Game 2, they won with the scaling comp. What can't they do?
It's one of those ones where you're just sitting there like, well, what advantage is working for us right now? And for Team Liquid, there doesn't feel like the clear play around this angle. Because even the counter pick in the last game, which they set up and got ahead, fell apart because Ssumday did so well. You can hear there's a loud contingent of Team Liquid fans who don't want this series to be over. I was talking to some of the fans, they're like, I can't go home already. I wanted a full day of games.
Yeah. You come to the LCS, you don't want to go home at 3:30. Yeah. Like, you want to stay there for 5 games. So there's definitely a Team Liquid pull in the studio right now.
On the flip side, online, people are eating this series up. There has been this pretty big backlash against Team Liquid. They've become the kind of team to hate online. And I was scrolling through that post-game thread, and fans are rabid with how they're getting torn apart by Team 100 Thieves here.
And for Team Liquid, they have to shut all of that out and just focus on this game. 3rd game in a row. I'm actually very surprised to see yet another Aphelios ban. With what we've been seeing in the playoffs, the fact that they're trading all these power picks, they're playing against Kallistas, they're playing against Sennas, they're playing against Seraphines, but not that damn Aphelios. They got to keep him out of there.
It's interesting, too, because you presume now that 100 Thieves will take the Zeri, Yuumi, or something like that in their scaling matchup. So it is strange to me to see the Aphelios priority continue to get permaban throughout the series. Yeah, FBI is insane at it, but it's not like that dominant in the current meta.
And 3rd game, perhaps a 3rd look here for 100 Thieves, particularly in the bottom lane. Love the Ahri here, back from Abba as a quick refresher on the bans while we lock this in. Never mind, FBI wants blood. It's Lucian time.
So we haven't necessarily seen a super high Lucian Nami priority in the LCS, but different regions have different mana pockets. I know in the LEC there's been a ton of just Lucian Nami slamming in draft to try and take over.
And 100 Thieves is the team that's used it the best split so far. When we saw a lot of teams trying, they would not get enough of a lead.
It's time. It's also time.
We're going to all the pocket picks. I'm also time. Wait. The fans are excited to see it. They need some kind of momentum. They need something, and I guess Zilean might be the angle. It's been one of his highest win rate champions in the entire LCS as Pastry's 10-10 series would have informed you if you watched it. Yeah, this is one of his best champions. It's just, usually it comes out, it feels like, in that moment where you have some momentum, they have this thing working for them. Here it feels like they're just hoping that this somehow gets them back into the series.
It's definitely a bit of a Hail Mary because it's not particularly countering anything 100 Thieves has currently. It's basically just, we're gonna do this because you know, it's worked in the past.
We saw the Abbedagge emote right there. I'm happy to announce, I think the LCS Twitch channel now has BTTV emotes.
They do.
And FFZ emotes. I think 7TV is coming on the way. So you can get spam all those Abbedagge, Wokage, Monkasteer, my personal favorite.
Get him in there.
I will say, if they lock in this Leona, which they do, this is more the style that Team Liquid has been able to win on in the past. I was very happy with their ban strategy in the previous series when they were just getting rid of the enchanters to put CoreJJ in engage versus engage matchups. They don't have that now because the Lucian Nami still has the ability to win lane, but at least CoreJJ has a big go button, which has been noticeably lacking from TL in their last 2 games.
And I mean, even you were talking about previously, CoreJJ off camera, you know, like, is someone who you want on engagers. He's not to sit on your AD carry. When you get CoreJJ on Yuumi, you're not getting an insane playmaking Yuumi. And even in that last game, he was the one who got picked off right before that critical Baron fight. So this is a return to his style, and hopefully that will give them a way into the series because they have a lot of playmaking already.
And as Revenge was mentioning, there's that Aatrox
Audible groan in the audience for that one.
Run it back. Instead of the Olaf this time, even though Olaf Zilean would have been nice, they have the Urgot, hoping for it to go better this time for Bwipo.
Yeah, I mean, you heard.
That's all you can say right now.
Revenge was laying it down that there's no answer that Bwipo seems to have for these blind Aatrox. Comes in yet again. Here, there is a few more synergies, I think, within the Team Liquid comp. The speed up for Sivir to help the positioning for things like an Urgot, who can sometimes struggle a little bit, as well as the bomb that you can just yeet onto your Vi as she goes flying in, so you get a little bit of extra damage on whoever her primary target is. There are some little synergies.
I can imagine like those little crab legs going super fast when Zilean puts 99% move speed on Urgot.
You're running around you with the shotgun knees extremely quickly.
I mean, I can see it. I can see it.
Well, we'll see how this works out. Another different look, as you mentioned, for 100 Thieves. Feeling very comfy with all the different, like, shells they can put together. And I feel like this bottom lane especially, this is like, we want to go home early. You know what? Let's just win the 2v2, absolutely smash you, open up the game, and then make it a sweep. 100 Thieves are here to make a statement against Team Liquid.
I mean, you saw FBI popping off in his player cam last game, having some choice words most likely for his competition, and nothing would be more of a statement than slamming them game 3.
Love the energy in the crowd right now, heading into this possibly series-ending game. And also, if 100 Thieves is able to close this out here, they will be going to Worlds, which is in North America. And this has been something that has been on these teams' minds the last 2 years. Originally, 2021 World was scheduled to be in North America. That got pushed back due to COVID. 2022 Worlds in North America, the most important year for these NA orgs that have made heavy investments. Team Liquid has to go to Worlds. 100 Thieves has to go to Worlds, and 100 Thieves can secure it here.
Okay, so in game 1, Abba took first strike, so I thought he was just having some fun with Bjergsen, maybe getting some gold. He's got Spellbook, so he's actually just walking up to intimidate him. 100 Thieves definitely feeling it here in game number 3.
I respect it. Trying to push in mid lane. You can do some tricky level 1s. If you do something like that and you had, like, say, Nautilus behind you, you can buy that space for Nautilus to either find a hook or slip into the brush behind you. Not the case here. Just doing it for dominance. Runs right through the bomb. Doesn't hit him.
So we've seen 100 Thieves win both of the first 2 games. In game 1, they had Prio in all 3 lanes. Didn't really give Team Liquid an opening. Team Liquid didn't get a single kill. Game 2, Team Liquid was up 3,000 gold in the early game, but 100 Thieves had the scaling team composition. I'd say this is closer to the early game strategy that 100 Thieves had in game 1. They don't have forms of reliable engage. I really feel like they need to do a lot of work in the early game to win this one.
Yep, should be able to have pressure in 3 of the lanes. All 3 landed by Ssumday there. Nice level 1 trade for him. But like you're saying, Ahri presumably should be able to get a good shove in mid lane. Bot lane is much more early game oriented than Team Liquid's.
Fight.
He's got Conquer, like, it already procced. I think Ssumday's just like, yeah, you want to fight? We'll go for it. Bwipo, though, dodging that second Q, but looks like the dust will finally settle after the little top lane scuffle.
Bwipo playing in front of the wave, though, being super aggro, trying to zone him off of it. Feels like maybe you could see in the between the games, they showed a glimpse of him. Looked very frustrated with kind of how things have been progressing so far in the series. Feels like he might be feeling the pressure to put some more carry weight on himself and win this matchup as hard as he possibly can.
Yeah, I've heard Bwipo talk about when he plays these unconventional champions, a lot of times he'll bluff in lane and kind of check the other player's knowledge of the matchup. And that's one where I think he says, you know what? Either he knows he wins the level 1, or Ssumday just doesn't know what happens. And in either of those cases, Bwipo would be able to get a small advantage, but you can see a different level of aggression from Bwipo in this laning phase, really trying to push the advantage.
And he was called out by the desk for not using enough of this counter pick to actually win the lane. He was kind of under his turn. I think this time around, making sure that he's actually getting the most out of this counter pick. Because we've seen Ssumday is more than happy to just become a mid to late game teamfight monster on the champion.
Yep. And instead, it's an invade here from 100 Thieves. Of course, botlane has Prio in the 2v2, so Santorin's blue buff under some pressure, but will smite it away and walk out safely.
That's a win for Santorin. He's able to secure his jungle camp, and also huhi and FBI have a longer path back to lane than Hans Sama and CoreJJ. So first aggression countered by TL.
Those are going to scoop up the crab here. Going to make sure at least his bot lane, if they are going to be pushing in, which they will be, then he can give them some extra coverage. Guess the Santorin is very likely going to the top because he's going to the same space. And Arbo continuing to do well here in the mid lane matchup. Zilean, of course, not going to be, massive lane dominant mage. Bjergsen knows his way around these matchups. Typically CS is very well, but Ahri's going to have prio. Absolutely. Bjergsen's going to have to do this for quite a lot of the laning phase.
Yeah, by far the hardest thing about playing Zilean is the early laning phase.
Yep.
Once Bjergsen has items, he can CS easily, but no one else has been as good at early laning phase as Bjergsen. That's one of the things that makes a Zilean so good.
Bottom lane had some fireworks here. Santorin, as we can see, is pressuring down here. Hans just barely
Good wards.
missing that spell shield. And as you said, the wards do spot Santorin.
Second time in a row, or maybe it was game one, that there was an attempted play by Santorin as the wave pushed out to sneak into the lane brushes, and they saw him the entire time. He does escort the wave in, but not actually able to get anything. Here's Hex Flash.
FBI's cleansed as well, but that's a good Q! FBI gonna get ignited, cleansed off the CC, but still burning down. Should be okay, but does avoid the gank.
That was so interesting because they saw Santorin originally, and then FBI does the emote, and it's almost like the emote mind game was like, aha, I saw you, surely he walks away, and then he just steps up. But Santorin just stuck around and is able to get through something.
They warded the middle brush to be like, okay, in case he comes back, but then he just came out from the back one. Does burn flash trade of summoners there onto FBI, but that is pretty big to relieve pressure. I don't think Santorin's game plan necessarily for these first 10-15 minutes is to insanely snowball a game or a lane or something, because you should have the scaling advantage with the Sivir. And so if you can relieve some of that pressure and make it so FBI has to respect ganks more in the future, he can't push as hard without his flash up.
Certainly like it there as Arbo TP's back to mid lane. Bjerg walking back will hold on to his TP for a potential future bit of tempo play. Ssumday has spotted Santorin on the Krogs. Going to try and get some of them there. Does some damage, but mostly here for that deep controller that Ssumday puts down.
Yeah, he actually kind of helped him out. The medium Krugs are pretty much the most worthless camp in existence. It's the baby Krugs that are actually very valuable, for those of you who don't know, and Santorin was able to get all the really small Krugs.
I appreciate that play by Ssumday, though. Going in, getting deep vision. It's one of these things that I think you won't see it a ton of the time on camera highlight. It fortunately was there because Santorin was on that spot, but he sacked the wave priority to sneak into the jungle, get some vision down. Santorin clears out one, but there was that second pink ward that you see he snuck in and was able to spot Santorin clearing back down to the bot side. So doing such a good job on the weak side, not getting resources, but still providing value to his team while not falling behind in CS.
And I really want to see what happens with this first dragon, because it's something 100 Thieves has been able to secure in both games so far today. Vi very good at early dragons. Bjergsen now level 6, which does give them a little bit of an advantage. That very first revive, I think, is so powerful in mid-game fights, but they just don't have bot pile. So Closure starting that dragon, and I wonder if Team Liquid is going to be able to contest.
Bot prio and no sixes, I think, is a huge thing for the rest of the map. Yes, Bjergsen has it, but Santorin, using his flash in the bot lane, does not have a clean way into this fight necessarily, and so Lucian, Nami, pre-6, very happy to scrap and fight. Poppy as well, you could argue, gets a little more value out of the base kit, so no chance for TL to contest.
And I gotta say, these buffed up Ocean Drakes are amazing for laning phase. So if Bwipo was hoping to push his advantage more in that matchup where the CS has gone even early, he just lost a lot of power there. The harassment that you're going to see from Sivir Ricochet is so much lower on FBI now, considering he'll have the Ocean Drake regen as well as the Nami healing. And I feel like this is just going to allow 100 Thieves to apply so much more pressure in lane, getting that first Drake.
Also mid prio as well, as we saw. Arba able to roam down there to the dragon, make sure it's a-okay. 100 Thieves, again, like, good aggressive team, good early game team, but not maybe in the way that we traditionally talk about them. They're not just skill checking every lane matchup and trying to kill their opponents. They can do that. It happens every now and then. Certainly the bottom lane likes to really test their limits in a lot of the 2v2s, but it's more about how they play as a unit once the mid game rolls around. The advantage they can create really open up a game, and this first dragon is one of those stepping stones.
Yes, and they've displayed that in both of their matchups against Team Liquid today. They displayed it throughout the entire summer split, having a very statistically average early game while still going 14-4. So the time they have spent together, especially the core of FBI, Huhi, and Closer, all the way back to the 2020 Golden Guardian squad, moving to 100 Thieves and winning that LCS title. They are so good together.
That is a sick little angle. Bjergsen is going to get the ulti out. Resurrect is here. Can they follow up? Might be a bit tricky. Bjergsen going to get out of there, but I do love the attempt.
Yeah, unsure there. I think if they wanted to try and wait it out with the Ignite ticking down, hold that last auto, maybe you kill him. He had flash the entire time, so very hard to actually find a kill there. Bjergsen, in a sense, comes out just fine from that, getting the flash out of Poppy. It looked like such a sick play, but then the fact that the chain CC didn't quite kill him before he get the ult out.
It does possibly set up this Rift Herald, though. If they can get a Rift Herald fight before this Zilean ultimate is back up, it will be advantageous to them. Core has matched the roam at the moment, though, so 100 Thieves definitely is not starting this. The question is, if FBI ends up matching this. Look where Hansama is right now. So Team Liquid has done a very interesting rotation. Again, they moved their bot lane to mid lane really early in the game, and Bjergsen is teleported to the bot side, and that cues 100 Thieves to start the Herald.
But Bjergsen is moving up, does have the Zilean speed ups to collapse.
This is strange.
Yeah, felt like they weren't sure if they wanted to sack it or contest it, and when 100 Thieves weren't on it clearly right away,
Yeah.
Team Liquid realized we actually can contest it.
But it's slow, so he's walked all the way up right now, and it's a 5v5.
Yeah, we're gonna actually just have a fight. It
Oh,
looks
he
like,
gives Core 6. He gives Core 6. Core can engage now.
Nice work there. Poppy ulti charging up. He's gonna get you up, but the spell shield doesn't matter because the ulti actually whiffs. Closes in trouble. Stolen Herald for Santorin. Team Liquid don't need to live. His first blood goes to Hansama, but the rest of the kills may be flowing towards 100 Thieves. They get one back as Bwipo falls, but it doesn't look like there's gonna be anything else left. CoreJJ low, but 100 Thieves gonna just defend the eye and kick them out.
Yeah, playing defense there. Might want a little bit more. Don't land any of the setup.
Back into the bomb. Abbedagge picked it up off the ground, and Bjergsen Zilean claims another one.
We talked about reaching into the barrel for the pocket pick to try and find a way into this series. Bjergsen might have just given them one. They win that Rift Herald fight, snatch the gold lead back. They were not able to get the eye after winning it. It did time out, so successful defense in that idea, but still a good team fight win to one, deny it from 100 Thieves, but also find a number of kills. This bomb setup initially, getting the stun there, gives Team Liquid the way into this fight. Closer able to get the W off, but still blown up through that. And then from there is still some threat with the early game power of 100 Thieves, but they do such a good job petting this out.
It's such a massive win for Team Liquid. Zilean passive giving level 6 to CoreJJ and having the level advantage on supports. You can see huhi's still level 5 there. And just the double bombs are so good picking up that kill at the end of the fight.
That one was extra sick because it's a zoning setup there. It's almost like a frame trap, if you're familiar with fighting games, where it's like you're just between two abilities that are on the screen, you can't do anything. And Abba steps the wrong way because he's like a few pixels and just gets got.
I love working fighting game terms in.
Same.
Get some footsies. Is that frame positive on shield? What is that?
Bottom side, it's 100 Thieves pushing it down again. TL will claim the gold lead up just under 1,000 for the FTX gold advantage, but feeling good despite not getting the Herald. However, 100 Thieves will not be perturbed. Still going to try and shove down and get some plates.
Yeah, this is possibly the best game state the Team Liquid has been in this series, 11 minutes into this game 3, because they have initiation tools and they have a gold lead. So they have probably better scaling, but they also have multiple players that have a very good go button. CoreJJ's Leona and Santorin's Vi. So when they set up around objectives, they'll actually be able to find fights, which they just haven't been able to do on their own terms this entire series.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing is they have had leads throughout this series, but 100 Thieves has found ways to out-team fight them, come back into the game, and it's kind of this relentless playmaking that 100 Thieves has that makes them so difficult to take down. You talked about their not super impressive early game stats, but the reality is 100 Thieves has lost a single game on stage in basically the last 2 months. You have to go back to the start of July. There was only the one loss to FlyQuest that they had that they ended up kind of giving that one away, but other than that, this team has only lost that game. So they have been on an incredible tear like they always seem to do in the back half of the split.
And you can see 100 Thieves opts not to contest that based on the power spikes the Team Liquid is having right now. Instead, they're going to pick up 2 plates in a free wave top lane for Aatrox and close the gold lead a little bit, but Team Liquid secure a very important Drake.
Almost evaporated, honestly. I said it was almost 1,000 before, but Ssumday, top of the charts.
A lot of plates.
On the gold. And yeah, he's just farming plates. Even gets one on the back end there as Bjergsen comes in to scoop up the wave. And actually, 100 Thieves will just barely retake the gold lead. So call it even as 100 Thieves. To me, one of the most impressive things isn't just their playmaking, which is absolutely elite, but they understand like when they should just give something up. Not a lot of teams are like, oh yeah, we don't need that. And they do need Bwipo. So tidal wave's in, bubble is good, and that's one for Abbedagge.
There they go, picking on Bwipo yet again. You saw in the previous game how Team Liquid sent some resources to Ssumday, shutting down, still found a way to contribute in the later portion of the game. Here, that feels like what is going to have to be the case for Bwipo after dying for the second time this game.
Yeah, a cross map being attempted for sure by Team Liquid. You can see Bjergsen already taking that turret. Hansama had pushed up. That was matched by Aatrox, and they're taking control of this whole jungle here. But I think it's still a very positive play for 100 Thieves because they're getting gold onto Lucian. That's something they were unable to do in the early game. Hansama Sivir has basically his first lead of the series here. He got his first kill of the series on Sivir as well. He'd been shut out in his 2 Zeri games. So very important for FBI to be able to catch up to that gold a little bit.
Absolutely the case. Hansama on the Zeri, we've had such a focus on that champion in the recent weeks with how much the meta seems to revolve around Zeri and Sivir and whatnot. And to see the Zeri not only not controlling the mid to late game team fights, but not even finding kills was shocking in some sense.
It was.
So here in a much better position. I also think that Sivir is more his champion. It's more within his comfort zone. A champion that's been out for a really long time. He has tons of games on her, but also a lot more about just front to back hitting things and getting your ricochet damage to the fight.
I actually can't believe Ssumday getting away with it. I guess Closer is in the area. TL don't want to overextend, so instead of trying to commit for another wave and maybe getting the turret, they'll just let Ssumday have it for now. Ssumday also pretty strong, but lots of back and forth here as 100 Thieves. Feeling cozy. Again, I think so many of these games are going to come down to what happens when the team fights really do erupt. For now, both teams are just kind of coasting.
Absolutely. Second Rift Herald comes up soon. That's a much bigger objective now because of the local gold that it also gives. And then Mountain Dragon, I think, is just such a powerful Drake because of the resistance that it grants. And because the game is close, I think we'll have a very high chance of having big fights break out around those objectives.
So you can already see them setting up a little bit for it. Ssumday staying up on the top side. Abba does have Unsealed Spellbook, and just, there he goes, pops the heal for the TP. You can see him going down to the bot side because he is the one with the TP to match. And so Bwipo, no TP, actually took Ignite in the matchup. And with that, we'll have to roam up to the top side if they do want to contest the Rift Herald when it spawns.
I should really like what Ssumday has managed to do with that top lane turret. He denied it being taken at 1330, which saves the plate gold, but then also no local gold being given away, as far as I know, from anyone on Team Liquid when it actually does fall. So little things that are going to keep, you know, if they can stack enough micro advantages up, it could be enough to send them over the top.
He's the Herald though, as he talked about Jatt. Very important objective here. 100 Thieves already kicking it off. There's the Thieves off lava, right into the bombs, the waiting odds of Team Liquid. And Bjergsen gonna make it a 4v5, but the tidal wave is decent. Closer trying to kick him out, doesn't get it, but can they get a kill? It's call it slow. Ssumday goes down, but FBI gets put into the fighter mix and goes down to Bwipo. And now Closer running for his life, but is not gonna live. Hansama flashes in to secure the kill, and Team Liquid come alive.
Bjergsen putting Team Liquid on his back. The disrespect teleport right in front of the Zilean. It's the easiest double bomb setup you're gonna see. The chain CC follow up by CoreJJ turns it instantly into a 4v5 for Team Liquid to just chase them down.
I kind of just feel like sometimes you forget.
It's been so long.
It's been so long since you've seen Zilean. Nobody else plays it, but Bjergsen always has the practice and the ability to pull this out. When he starts the TP, he's not even thinking. Bjergsen pops out of the bush and just suddenly double bombs. You're
Surprise.
like, oh, I guess I'm dead. And then the fight is over because Abbedagge has done absolutely nothing. 100 Thieves isn't in position, and actually a missed ultimate there. I feel like Bjergsen could have easily kept CoreJJ alive as well, but they still clean up the fight.
Yeah, nice sidestep on the Nami ultimate as well, being able to go back into this fight. The meat grinder getting the kill, getting the fear off as well for the 3 kills. The Rift Herald as well. Huge. Absolutely huge. And now with this, and Hansama having some more kills as well, he's accelerated in the game. This also helps recover Bwipo. They're feeling a lot better.
Second Drake, though, they're going to keep the fights going. So even though Team Liquid did win that fight, they haven't had a time to spend the gold. You can see first major item completed for everyone, and then one other small component. So it is still just a reset. If that engage doesn't happen to Abbedagge, what happens next?
Yeah, 100 Thieves starting this one, trying to play with tempo, but most of the ultimates are coming back up for Team Liquid, so it's going to be a straight 5v5, no inherent advantages. Nice use of the Herald right away to just put some pressure on them.
And I really like this from Bjergsen because he can still zoom back to the fight. He escorts the Herald. The Dragon takes so long to kill now that it has 12,000 health. He's back for the fight.
Yep, here we go. 100 Thieves is going to try and get the objective. First things first. Santorin moving in, but he's not going to get into the Drake. He's going to be zoned off there. So Drake on 100 Thieves does indeed go down to Closer. But what else happens here is they are going to back away. No fight wanted here for 100 Thieves.
Team Liquid have the inside track, though. Herald's still alive. They can potentially get a second turret after forcing 100 Thieves to take the long way around out of the Dragon Pit.
Yeah, they should be able to get that huge amount of map pressure. 2 mid turrets, 4-0. Team Liquid really trying to keep this series alive.
Swinging the game back again. Now they're back up to the FTX kill advantage they had kind of when they kicked off the earlier portion of the game. Back up to 2K, but feels like that is not enough. We've seen this lead in the last game. I feel like you need more against a team like 100 Thieves.
I don't want to be disrespectful for Team Liquid, but until the Nexus is dead for 100 Thieves,
True.
I'm a little concerned for them. They have lost a number of games where they had big leads, and 100 Thieves is an incredible team fight team. Even though they have this more early game index into their draft, like they've shown that they can still pilot these expertly in late game situations.
Absolutely. But Lucian Nami is not Senna Seraphine. In
True.
terms of late game scaling, there are much more champions that you want to have take over in the early game, and 100 Thieves has not done that. But I absolutely agree with you. Team Liquid can't just think that this game is won. They still have to earn it.
Even mentally, right? Like, it does not feel good. We've seen the players as they stream out after the game walking down the halls, like, the pressure is very real for this team. We've talked about it all split long for Team Liquid, and BO5s are a lot about momentum. They don't have any right now. Like, yes, they're picking up a little bit. This feels good, but to Mark's point, it will not feel correct until they've at least got themselves another game to play.
Yeah, a lot to prove. We talked about how the game score is so heavily in 100 Thieves' favor in recent history in the last 2 years. If you go all the way back, though, to the start of franchising, when 100 Thieves joined the league, they were also still going at it. That was the first finals Team Liquid ever won. It was the first one that 100 Thieves competed in. And so even going back into those 4 or 5 years, this has been kind of the marquee rivalry of the franchising era, and you know that you're not just happy with one game, you're not happy with a foothold back in the series. They want to win.
Well done, Horizon, as well. Don't forget, 100 Thieves to the win here. Don't just keep themselves in the upper bracket here in the LCS Championship. They'll also book their ticket to Worlds, be the first team from the LCS to do so as well. Ssumday just chilling with Bwipo, but he's got a couple of friends. CoreJJ, ooh, he tried for the fancy flash E-play, but doesn't land it. Ssumday gonna get out of there, but feeling a little lucky as Santorin's going to make a go of it on the dive now.
100 Thieves just biding their time, hoping the Team Liquid maybe over-dive here. They are there to counter.
It's 4v3.
Go for it.
The tower's here as well. TL, I think, correctly back away there.
I think so too, especially diving without Zilean, so they wouldn't be able to have that free carcass to throw at the turret. Get revived.
That is a morbid way of describing Zilean. It's like an old siege tactic of the medieval era where you're throwing heads and bodies over walls.
Except then with Zilean, it comes back as like a fully formed active human.
It's like a zombie.
He still has all his abilities. Yeah.
I don't want
Not like a
Jatt
zombie.
in charge of a...
He's a normal human after he revives.
Yeah, he reverses the process.
Yeah.
You just wind time back a bit and you're Gucci. That's totally how it works. Don't worry about it. Team Liquid, oh goodness, Abbedagge getting aggressive. Bjergsen the target. Santorin needs the charm. Stopwatch burnt though. Tidal Wave following in, but 100 Thieves are pushing for a play here. Out one we go. There's Hansama kicked out of the fight, but not for too much longer. Sivir with some pretty speedy feet, and there is no objective to fight around 100 Thieves. Trying to make the play and come up empty-handed.
Nice look by 100 Thieves, but not able to actually find a single target to lock down and kill. And without those ultimates available, they're quickly going to back on out of there. Team Liquid going to reestablish control. Minute and a half for the next Dragon. Does feel like this is a game that Team Liquid is happy to kind of absorb those punches and keep scaling. They're going to be able to grab this turret most likely pretty soon here.
This is absolutely seeing that 100 Thieves needs to be ahead for this team composition to work properly. Because when they try and force like that, it is just so difficult. That was Abbedagge getting in, landing the charm, and then they don't even burn a flash or a Zilean ultimate. Right? The tools they have, they need to be pushed up in multiple lanes, have the other team coming into them, and then just repel them with Lucian, Nami, and Ahri power. They're not in that state, so Team Liquid can pull the punches.
All right, here we go. Fight around the red bar, but Team Liquid feeling good. Bwipo in somewhere else getting the turret down, but that's skill for Hansama. FBI with the calling. Oh, Santorin knocked around, but the flash is good to get himself to safety. The bombs are scattered through the team. Huhi's going to be forced to flash as well. And now it's a 4v5 because Closer's not here for this next Dragon.
Still works out nicely for Team Liquid. Contest the red buff, find a kill, force 100 Thieves out of their jungle, growing that lead now up to 3.6 thousand after Bwipo finished off that turret. Getting the kill on Closer, 0-3-0. He was an absolute monster in the first 2 games, and while Closer does have a great champion pool, and I respect it all, but he is more the Wukong player to me, the Viego, the guy who actually can become a monstrous threat in mid to late game team fights. He's less of the setup for his team tank player, and so this Poppy pick not working out for him right now. I don't blame him necessarily for how this game has gone, but doesn't have the same potential to pop off in team fights.
Yeah, and you could see there Ahri was in top lane. That was definitely not a timer for 100 Thieves to fight on there. Back for this Drake, though. It takes a very long time to kill it, and 100 Thieves, they want to fight.
I appreciate the panache for 100 Thieves, just unrelenting in this pressure. Closing in to get a big knock of heart. Some of them has been popped by the Zilean. Ssumday pops the watch, but Bwipo, huge 3-man fear, puts them in the Vitamix but Ssumday does get two on the back line as well. FBI wants to flash away, but Ssumday is carrying the team in this fight. Violty's still there, and it's an explosion. But Team Liquid come out ahead.
What an explosive fight that was! Top laners just exploding people back and forth, and Team Liquid come out ahead.
Get the ace, get the dragon. It was dicey for a second there. I thought 100 Thieves made the right play, kiting out the Zilean ultimate on Hansama, but the bombs by Bjergsen in the late game combined with Bwipo just carried that fight.
I don't think 100 Thieves can get much better of a fight than that. When they start the engage, get Hansama to 10%, and then are able to get the Zilean ult without killing him, you think, like, damn, that's exactly what they need. Ssumday, even if you watch him, gets a wicked double kill at the back of this fight, but it is just not enough. Let's watch it again.
Yeah, so really intelligent there, like you're saying. They get the ult onto Hansama, then they ignore them and go into defense mode. The stopwatch by Ssumday is huge, but Bwipo flashes into his backline, while Ssumday flashes into Team Liquid's. They both get these monstrous kills, but then from here, the ultimate still being up by Santorin is huge to kill FBI, and then that double bomb by Bjergsen was just
that's what
huge.
did
They
it.
just should stop fighting. Huhi though caught out and killed Bwipo. Gonna eat him alive, and now the Baron's on the table for Team Liquid.
This is going to be hard for 100 Thieves
Wow,
to
that
stop.
was
No
damage.
summoner spells on anyone, and we have Sivir ult and Vi ult ready if Team Liquid wants to peel.
Of course, Zilla up as well. Here we go. FBI gonna be opened up by Santorin, but he's just gonna be killed. That's Divine Sunder as Bjergsen throws himself into the enemy team. But the choke point is filthy for all these Zilean bombs, and Santorin just keeps on trucking. Closer gonna be killed as well. Team Liquid are feeling it.
Looked like it might have been a bit of an overstep there, but that's that Zilean combo we were talking about. Lock them in place for those double bombs to come in. They get that kill. Bjergsen ult allows him to just scoot out of what was a very dangerous situation. And now Team Liquid should have a free, uncontested Baron.
So gold lead now 4.3k. Baron power play is usually about 3 to 3.5. Team Liquid's going to be in massive control of this game. Bjergsen even able to peel off the Baron to defend that mid turret. They just keep pushing.
So didn't wait for Bwipo. Maybe didn't need to. But the Baron buff still secured there as we'll watch this one again. I mean, 100 Thieves, caution to the wind on all these fights.
Yeah, and same with Team Liquid, honestly. Their trigger pull is so much better in this game. They know there are no flashes on anyone. If you can get in range to press the button, you press the button on that Lucian, and look at the damage. The bomb just finds its way, and Bjergsen's able to revive himself even though he jumps into the middle of everyone.
I mean, no other control mage can just follow a Vi like that and get away for free. But because he's on his signature pick, he knows I can actually just sprint in there and res myself. It's basically like a Zhonya's if the enemy team wants to camp your carcass. And so the fact that they can't finish off Bjerg and then wait for him to res, they try and find new targets, but they're just too far behind at that point to have burned all that onto Bjergsen and not actually get the kill.
And a fun little fact that was just shared for me. We've talked about how Bjergsen has played this champion and been around for so long. Currently sitting at 4 kills with 9 assists. That's a pretty classic Zilean scoreline. If he gets to 9, so 5 more from now, he will overtake Turtle for the all-time kill.
Wow, Bjergsen wants to extend this series, give him as much time as possible.
Exactly. Bomb those kills.
They have Baron buff right now. They're pushing in. They're likely to win this game. It also feels like this Bjergsen Zilean, he only seems to pull it off in playoffs. Like, I'd love to see his playoff win rate on Zilean versus regular season, because when they need it most is what he saves it for.
Absolutely. We were talking about how it just felt like a bit of a Hail Mary. We didn't see a ton of setup at that point in the draft when they locked it in. And it has been, I think, the biggest factor in this game for why they've been able to come back and win it. Getting these skirmishes in the early game in their favor. Now the rest of the team is starting to feel better as a whole. The engages are working. Hansama having the best game of the series thus far for him. Bwipo stabilizing. I will say Ssumday's still been a monster on the Aatrox. He is probably the only reason this game is not over right now. Him in the top lane alone is kind of dragging 100 Thieves kicking and screaming to still be slightly able to contest this game.
Yeah. If Aatrox also had his then maybe he'd be able to carry the game.
Complaining about the enemy team comp being a little bit more supportive.
They get to have 2 lives.
Well, Bjergsen is indexing into the other part of the Zilean kit. Plenty supportive now with the Cosmic Drive and the Everfrost, and level 16. That's actually huge for Zilean. Yes, Rabadon's Death Cap now done. His closer just has to get out of there. CoreJJ's ulti was about to clip him.
Yeah, you can see 100 Thieves doing their best to try and keep the waves out. Also another reason we love that Sivir pick for Ssumday. They push lane so quickly. Abbedagge trying anything he can to get it engaged, just unable to make it land.
Trades flash for flash, though. The nice Everfrost to set up the charm. Should he spell shield the Everfrost, which is what Ssumday was doing, Ssumday realizes, oh, I'm about to get charmed, and has to respect flash away as well. Does relieve a little bit of pressure, but now there's no alt flash on Abba.
And here we go, the dive for Santorin just clicks onto FBI, and he just exploded. Bwipo again, blending up 100 Thieves.
Bjergsen also heals off the turret at the end of that fight. Really good synergy there. Urgot, Vi, Wombo combo. This may be it, even though the Baron buff is down. They have 2 people killed, and they might look to end.
Yeah, only Abbedagge feels like he might be able to defend this one. Ssumday might try and step forward. Hard to wave clear here.
All right, we'll see. Ssumday again. The hope here for 100 Thieves been massive all series. Can he save it here? The bomber's going to stun him up, but Ssumday's still fighting. Very tanky Abbedagge onto Bwipo. One more auto needed. Does get it with the Foxfire. The res happens there for Ssumday. Had GA, I guess. So back up he goes.
This is really interesting because Mountain Drake is up. TL definitely tried to end the game, but they're very low. Bjergsen can't teleport back. He doesn't need to, though. It's more about having CoreJJ and Santorin healthy, but 100 Thieves now 5 alive and looking to get this Drake.
Yeah, Santorin low as well, not much mana. Will have his ultimate up potentially, but for Team Liquid, this might be just a sack of the objective, and for 100 Thieves, feels good. Should be an objective bounty on that, as well as getting the soul point potentially in your favor. If you can find a way to hang around for another 5-ish minutes for the next one to spawn, you get a steal. There's a way back into this game. It's a tall order, but this is the first step.
Yeah, it's like the door is left very slightly ajar, but you can't even really see through it. You just know it's open. You don't know what's
like a little
inside.
wind coming through. It's like that Sherlock Holmes scene where he spritzes the air.
Well, this combo was nice.
If this happens, though, there's not much they can do.
No.
There's not a ton of peel for a Vi flying at your face, double bombs thrown onto her, and a downtown Urgot ultimate getting the kill. There's actually a lot of follow-up to the Vi that can come in from very far away, plus the Sivir speed up, plus the extra CC from CoreJJ. It makes it very hard for whoever Santorin decides to kill to actually live.
Yeah, you can pre-bomb the Vi, too, if Bjergsen doesn't even want to fly in.
Throw one on, wait in, throw another. Zilean range pretty long. Bjergsen obviously knowing the limits of the champion as well. 4-0 and 10 right now. Just racking up all the assists alongside his old buddy Santorin. Been great together this split. Been great together this game. Team Liquid need something back here on the precipice of flipping that momentum, kicking off this series in the direction they wanted here, and taking a game of 100 Thieves. It sounds like a small thing. It sounds a bit silly, but it is huge to win the first one here. And all bets are off if Team Liquid win this game, and by all measures, they should.
I mean, this is kind of how it went in Spring Split, where Team Liquid was the one who jumped out to a quick 2-0 lead. Absolutely dominated through that part of the series. You had the famous interview with Closer saying, like, we weren't playing like humans. And then they started to, and that's when they came back into that series. For Team Liquid, I think there's a feeling that not only was 100 Thieves playing well for the first 2 games, but they were not playing up to their own standard. And so when you have a good game, you start having that confidence again. You say, yeah, we can beat these guys. Suddenly that changes the entire scope of the series.
There are so many reverse sweeps in League of Legends. It just seems the momentum in the series can swing so quickly. And also, when we talk about the fact that they haven't played against each other, drafted against each other for so long, finding that right adaptation that really clicks the series can sometimes be the thing that is unrecoverable from mid-series. So, again, TL trying to go for Baron here. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, call the target, close it, wants to find a different angle. Bjergsen is the one he finds. CoreJJ low, dies to armor. Bjergsen holds the ulti, and now it's a 5v4. But again, they've got the Zilean in the back pocket. Han's in trouble, does not get clipped by the charm though, as Ssumday goes on in. The double bomb to that, but there's Closer, finds the back line. He's knocked up Han's summer. Urgot has got to kill. FBI's absolute the res, and Bjergsen's ulti still finds Hans, but can they find it? The damage still good. Abbedagge desperately diving into the team, but Hans stays alive, and that is gonna be game.
They just did not have enough damage to finish off Ssumday. They threw everything at him, just not quite able to land the charms. The revive coming in. Closer had a really good flank, as we see barely huhi able to get out of there. They almost had it. Now FBI's in trouble.
Yeah, FBI's just dead. Bwipo scoops him up, and the Team Liquid fans in the audience gonna have something else to cheer about here. Bjergsen zooming on in, saving the day on the pocket pick Zilean. Team Liquid gonna give us at least one more game.
Big bounce back from Team Liquid. They reach deep into their back pocket, pull out the Zilean, and boy, did it work.
strap in. We might be in for a long day. It looked like 100 Thieves was cruising in this series. They run into Bjergsen Zilean, who absolutely takes over this game. And like you were just saying, Jatt, draft adaptations. Is this something that's going to become the focal point of the draft? Hansama on Sivir instead of Zeri. There's so many things that just flip.
A lot of Liquid support in the audience as well. Chance before the game, chance after the game. 4-0-13 on that Zilean, 17 of the 21 team kills. I'm actually really curious what their body language is after this game because they look very stern after the losses. It kind of looks the same after the win too. So very level-headed, trying to stay not emotional as this series progresses.
Definitely.
Okay, Ben is very excited.
I mean, Ben is looking like that no matter what just happened.
That's true.
But as a team manager, he's very, very
Yeah,
excited. I mean, sometimes you need that. Everyone's like, we have 2 more games. We have 2 more games. He's like, you got 1 at least. You know, like, you just need that kind of spark plug sometimes in the locker room. So I appreciate it, Ben.
Keep it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun human. As apparently we're done with this game for now, but let's break down that Team Liquid win over the State Farm Analyst Desk. Please give me 5 games. But what happened in this one?
Well, Pastrytime, if Team Liquid drafts like that, we very well might be going to 5 games. When everything's on the line, they go to All Reliable. We had wondered what the red side might have in store for us as the majority of playoffs has gone the way of blue side. And it seems with that 3rd pick before we get down, to the 2nd round of bans, they lunged for the Zilean.
Yeah, it felt like 100 Thieves wanted to get counter picks. So it was like, okay, we banned the Azir, and we're going for a first pick Ahri. It's a challenge to what Bjergsen can really do in the first phase, and then maybe we'll layer on more bans in the 2nd phase. He was like, you know what? Hand me that Zilean, straight up. And it was it's a series changer. Because now you have to give him that respect that the Ahri first pick with the Azir ban is not free.
Yeah, and honestly, shout out to Bwipo, too, for coming back this game in the fights. I think that's what he struggled with last game. I think that he actually did manage to nullify the Aatrox in the laning phase last game, but his fights were really, really brutal. I think that he misplayed a lot of the fights, but honestly, this game, he really took over and showed, like, some light for TL in their team fighting, honestly.
Yeah, they had a lot of good combinations here. It's casters we're talking about playing off of the Vi and layering these stuns. Also, really good timing from Bjergsen on these bombs, getting a lot of space as well for them to work with. But those combinations, Urgot ultimate coming on, the single targets, Abbedagge walking into some of the bombs as well.
Yeah.
Definitely have to adapt to that one if you're going to let.
Oh no, another one! More bombs!
Man, this was so crucial for the game. These 2 fights, like, if 100 Thieves was able to win these fights a bit harder, I think this would have been a completely different game. Because I do think that their early game this game was really, really good. They got the first dragon, they were doing well bot lane, they were doing well top lane as well in the counter matchup.
Yeah.
I mean, this was honestly 100 Thieves' game to win from the early game.
Yeah, I think he did make some crucial mistakes. And you even look at the later portions of the game where Team Liquid had a really large lead. And 100 Thieves played well in 2 fights.
Yeah.
That felt like they could have really turned it, but their bruises were unkillable with a juiced up Zilean.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you can see, when we talked about the Abba Bjergsen comparison, right? A lot of the reason why some of us favored Abba was because of the way he played in team fights. Bjergsen on this Zilean does create so much space for them. I actually thought that 100 Thieves, not in this specific fight, but in a few later fights, technically out-team fought TL, but because the Sivir had so much protection, they just were not able to get onto Hansama, and a lot of that was large part thanks to this Zilean combination with the Vi with the Urgot.
As I pass things off to Kobe, let's just roll one of those fights you're talking about. Probably one of the better looking fights for 100 Thieves that TL will still come out on top of around the dragon here, Kobe.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it so many times, but the space that he's able to get with this Zilean, 29 and 8, and then here the revive as well. On someone not going down. Bwipo comes back in. There were so many of these where he gets somebody with the ult, he comes back, he flashes in for the giant fear on the back line.
I mean, this was so close to being a huge highlight play. If this W landed, if this Q landed, Ssumday could have potentially turned this around completely.
Ssumday was trying his hardest.
Ssumday was
he was almost carrying this for 100 Thieves.
But like, crucially enough, Hans was completely griefing this fight as well, and this can't happen in the next games in the series. Like, he really has to step up and make sure that he's playing really well in these fights.
Yeah, the Bjergsen Zilean magic, you know, has only so much magic in it. You can't have that first pull out of it again.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Bjergsen Zilean affords you the opportunity to make that mistake and still come away with the win, but that's where we call into question, Rad. The first thing you said was, is it going to go straight to the ban table, right? Is that enough for 100 Thieves to say, okay, never again. Now when you make mistakes, like you do there with the misposition, you die immediately. You don't get that second chance.
I think so, and it's mostly off the fact that if 100 Thieves are getting put onto blue side and they want to find a strong flex, hey, you have an amazing jungler with a strong champion pool. Same goes for bot lane. And hell, same goes towards, you're never going to pick first pick top laner unless if you really have that confidence in Ssumday.
Unlikely, really unlikely.
He doesn't
really
need it. That's the thing, he doesn't need it.
Exactly.
No.
So just take it off the table because I really do like the idea of first pick Ahri if the Zilean's off the table or if the Azir's off the table, but it's not panning out in this circumstance.
But I really wonder what they're going to open, right? Because they've been banning Draven, they've been banning Trundle, if I'm not mistaken, in all of the games on the 1, 2, 3. And I feel like if they do leave these things open, it's going to give TL more of their win condition as well, right? So
Abbedagge is a little tense from those bombs. He's like, you know what? Don't worry about it. We'll avoid the bombs next time. No more bombs.
That was some real grimacing. Like, he's got some knots in that. Yeah, like, all right, bro, relax.
We gotta call that guy back here.
Actually, ban Zilean. Don't worry about it.
Okay, this is equally interesting to me as the side selection from the previous game. 100 Thieves going to blue side, given the fact that TL just won from red and the talk that we had earlier about how 100 Thieves is generally happy to counterpick. Obviously, Raz, I think, as you said, like if they just ban out the Zilean, it does kind of put the onus back on Team Liquid to find another strategy to win from red side that is not available to them anymore.
Yeah, and also I think a lot of teams, this is something that they for sure expected a Zilean pick, right? They just thought they could deal with it. And they'll look through this game and be confident, hey, if we didn't make these specific mistakes in the early team fights, we would have done well in these in this game. They're probably, I'm not saying they're going to do a full run back. I expect that ban that we were just talking about. But I think the same composition, the same idea is going to come out. It's just more so on the players saying, what we had worked. Later on in the team fights, we were just better and the gold advantage was too large. Let's run it back partially.
I mean, it's going to be hard for us to tell, right? This is a time in series where players' confidence and players' opinions really matters, and the coach will take that into account, right? Like, if Abe goes backstage and goes, guys, Zilean was not an issue. We can deal with it. I want to play against it. I'll get a bigger lead, or we can do this and that. I mean, there's a chance, like, you don't want to hurt a player's confidence. Be like,
that's
no,
when I hope coach smacks you down. Absolutely not. We're banning the Zilean.
Same thing goes for Aatrox, right? I mean, Aatrox has been 1v9 all 3 of these games, but if Bwipo's like, no, I want to deal with it, it's really hard sometimes for someone to just go, no, we're banning it.
That's great insight.
And I feel like that's going to come down to what the players feel, and coaches will always take that into account.
Emily, would you want, I'm going to jump to the bot lane. 100 Thieves went for a much more aggressive look with the Lucian Nami, but given the previous games and the way they played out, the way we were looking at the Senna Seraphine, would you not want them to go back to something that just scales? Because they've proven, I think, time and time again, even in this game, they feel like the better team fighting team. Rely on that, no?
It depends. With blue side, I'm very curious to see what they do, especially if that Zilean ban comes through, because not only is it Bjergsen Zilean, but like we've been kind of talking about how bot focused this is. It just provides so much protection for the Sivir on top of what she already has. In lieu of, obviously, they didn't pick an enchanter bot side. For 100 Thieves, though, I do think they can draft something that still does well early with late game scaling options because they do believe that strongly in their 5v5 fighting.
Well, honestly, I just feel like it's going to come down to what bot lane they choose. I think that's the advantage on blue side, right? As you're saying, I think this is still a really like bot-centric series, and I think that I'm curious to see if 100 Thieves will actually choose the Kalista side again on the first pick like they did in game 1, or if they're going to go for the Zarya themselves, because I think FBI is a great Zarya, and we haven't seen it this series yet.
Alrighty. Well, while Team Liquid is the team that needs to put 2 together to get the win, the onus is on 100 Thieves to find an answer to that previous game. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, it'll be the 4th game of this series. We'll see whether or not Team Liquid Honda can tie up the series, or if 100 Thieves will be becoming the first LCS team headed to Worlds. It's game 4 right after this.
Let's go, guys.
Let's go. We're all warmed up now.
This is where the fun begins.
Yeah.
Oh, I had fun last game until I didn't. One-shot him. Nice guys. First target. I have ulti still. Look at Sun. I'm going Lucian. Lucian. I'm looking Violet. I got him. More. Go. We win.
I just killed us.
Kill Lucian. I need to go on the Aatrox together. Okay, Sun 2 seconds. I'm holding Lucian.
Oh, I
got him all. Nice, guys.
Good job.
Lucian no flash, Aatrox.
Aatrox flash.